Before we get into the conversation, I just want to chat about something that is not only super important to me, but also comes up time and time again in my conversations with spaces and their founders. I'm talking about health and well-being, which I know means a lot of different things to different people. For me though, this is just all the little things that I do on a daily basis for my mind, body and soul, whether that's going for a run, taking 10 minutes to meditate, or just catching up properly with friends and family. In fact, one of the reasons I actually started Curated Spaces was to really champion this idea that well-being comes from doing the things that bring us joy and spending time with our favourite people in the places that we love. I've been incredibly lucky to travel to some absolutely amazing places with the podcast, and with this I've had to rethink some of my daily habits. I just wanted to share some of the things from Duty Free's new mind, body, soul concept, which has helped keep me sane when living out of a suitcase. Now, first up for me is sleep. I need my 8 hours and I'm addicted to anything lavender when it comes to winding down. My all-time favourite is the pillow spray from This Works, which has lavender, chamomile and vetiver essential oils, which help to restore normal sleep patterns. The clue is in the name, but you just spray it on your pillow before you go to bed and boom, a great night's sleep is guaranteed every time. I always stock up when I'm coming back from holidays and honestly don't travel without a bottle of the stuff now. Next up, diet. The first few weeks of Curated Spaces, I was living off coffee, sandwiches and free hotel biscuits. And honestly, I could tell when I was just not getting my protein fix. I actually discovered Form Nutrition Super Blend Protein when I was grabbing my pillow spray. It's a super high quality protein powder and actually has added greens, so I can chase my 5 a day even when I'm on the move. And now skincare. I have been obsessively applying SPF 50 every day for the past 15 years, and I have just started to add collagen to my routine with Vida Glow Natural Marine Collagen Sachets, which you actually put in your morning coffee. It's completely flavourless and is absolutely amazing for skin, hair and nails. I feel like autumn and winter really take their toll, and my new morning collagen coffee ritual has been such a godsend to help keep everything clear, smooth and hydrated. Finally, it's that time of the year when everyone starts getting sore throats, which is not ideal when you're trying to host a podcast. My friend was raving about the Biocol Labs sore throat relief spray, so I picked some up at the airport recently, and it's not only soothing, but also contains propolis, which provides immune defence as well. I picked some up at the airport recently, and it's not only seriously soothing, but also contains propolis, which provides immune defence as well. Now, a simple life is a good life, and you can actually find all of these products in Duty Free at Mind, Body, Soul. They've really leveled up their game recently and made it super easy to find the products that will help you stay calm and relaxed while on the move with their 3 pillars that promote physical and mental well-being. I should also mention that all of the brands featured in the Mind, Body, Soul Duty Free shop are carefully curated for their ethically sourced, organic or natural products with environmentally friendly packaging wherever possible. My flight was actually delayed the last time I was travelling, and I had the best time browsing through everything in store. I even treated myself to the new functional fragrance, which smells so good. It's like bergamot meets cardamom herby scent, and was also developed following research into the connection between the cognitive and the olfactory system, aka your brain and sense systems. It's an incredibly calming scent, and I've never been more chilled out by a late flight in my life. If I wasn't delayed, however, I would have been very grateful for the reserve and collect aspect of worlddutyfree.com, which means I can pre-order up to 24 hours before I get to the airport and pick it up on my way to the gate. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, and honestly, next time you're travelling, make sure to head to Mind, Body and Soul and stock up on all those wellness goodies to make sure you're feeling your best, even when on the move. Now, let's get into the conversation. Hello and welcome to Curated Spaces, the podcast that explores the stories behind the spaces reimagining how we stay, work and play. Join me, Molly Cooper, as I sit down with founders, owners and thought leaders to hear about their journey of bringing a space to life. Great spaces shape our lives. They inspire, nurture and connect us. But most importantly, they bring us together to share life's milestones with the people who mean the most to us. So, whether you're a traveller, foodie or design seeker, join us as we celebrate the power of spaces and the brilliant people behind them. Today I'm in the picturesque village of Castle Combe in the southern fringes of the Cotswolds, where tucked away in a little valley you can find the Manor House. Dating from the 14th century, this building is ivy-clad with log fires crackling away in cosy panelled rooms and views over the grounds and Italian gardens. And I'm delighted to welcome Gaius, the Manor House's general manager, to the podcast and can't wait to hear all about the story behind this charming hotel. Gaius, welcome to Curated Spaces. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
No, well, thank you. We've got quite a spread here. I've got the biggest pot of tea I've ever seen, and then a full afternoon tea to go with it. I'll be coming back. Why not? If that's the Manor House way, I like it. Well, before we get into the story of the hotel, then, should we start with you and hear about your background and how you've ended up here in Castle Combe?
Well, I've had the pleasure of being here for nearly 5 years now, and I came here having worked for our sister property, Laneston House near Winchester, another beautiful home, and this one was a great opportunity to come across to. As I say, almost 5 years ago. Yeah,
and have you always been in hospitality? Or?
Always. So it's been about 30 years now, dare I say. Yeah. So I grew up, started washing up, and from washing up to working behind a bar to waiting on tables to looking after functions to housekeeping to all sorts of
really
different things.
Tried everything out.
Yeah, a bit of everything, which is the best way of being. So
and now you're here running this amazing space, which is quite incredible.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about where we are in this very lovely pocket of England. The Cotswolds, famous everywhere.
Yeah.
I drove through the winding little road today and there were tourists everywhere snapping this beautiful place. So would you be able to help paint a bit of a picture for people listening in?
I suppose it's best described as this sort of chocolate box village where you're completely away from it all. There's no satellite dishes. It's just left as part of history, and I think that's what makes it so special. It is a Cotswold village, so there's the beautiful Cotswold stone, but it's the quaint little houses that you come to with the Bybrook River meandering through. It's picture postcard chocolate box postcard. It's just a beautiful place to come to.
Yeah.
And I think there's not many places I think in England where you would find a hotel that sits as part of the village, with so much history behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So often they're tucked away down these long driveways and big grounds, aren't they? Whereas here, you come through the gorgeous little village, you nip over the river, and it's just there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the village itself, you were saying just then that there used to be an actual castle, clues in the name, I guess, sat up on the hill, and then this huge deer park all around it.
Exactly. Yeah, so the hotel sits within 365 acres, so one for each day of the year. And it was a deer park at some point in its time. And it is now home to the golf course, which is a beautiful golf course. But, the Motte and Bailey Castle, basically the Romans, the Saxons, the Normans, they all had their time in up there on the hill and used that space and built the castle on the hill. Not connected to Ed Sheeran's song, but
shameless plug there. Yeah.
So, but it's now if you kind of go up there into the woods, you'll find the sort of remnants of the tower of the castle. Wow. There's still a few stones and a bit of history there, and it is actually the largest Motte and Bailey castle, or was the largest Motte and Bailey castle in England. So it's a real national English heritage. They've got a keen interest in the site, and we maintain that area for obviously as part of history, I suppose. And I suppose as history has it that the castle was there on the hill, and then at some point it got destroyed, and then basically some of the stones then were used to build the Manor House down in the valley.
Wow.
So I think it's home to many lords since way back in the 14th century. As in this hotel. So there's years and years of history and different lords that have lived in this house.
That's really quite amazing. And you showed me earlier that huge fireplace that was the original kitchen, and it was just gigantic.
Yeah, that is the original kitchen of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that the castle could be in there. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And then you step in, and it's this beautifully sort of tucked away. Like we said, you go down the valley, cross the river, these beautiful green lawns, and then just a cluster of big windows and almost turrets and a little Italian garden behind and ivy everywhere. It's so picturesque. And you step inside and there's that lovely smell of smoke coming from the fires and that beautiful room with all the panelling. And you were saying that could be as old as from the 16th century. It's baffling, isn't it? There's these really old bits of history just being used every day here. And I love that. And do you know anything about the people that used to live here, the lords of the manor, as it were?
I never met them. I mean, sadly, one of them is his tomb is in the church in the village, which is obviously right next to the hotel. He died in battle, so there's his tomb has got a lion and a sword on his tombstone, and apparently when you have a lion, it means that you died in battle.
There's still the 3 coats of arms over the fireplace when you walk in.
Yeah, we've got a frame with all the lords. I mean, I think there's sort of 12, 14 lords over the time that have seen this place as their home. And from my point of view, that's what I suppose makes it special, that this is a home for people to come and stay in and feel like they're a lord of the manor. I mean, that a lord or lady of the manor. We want to make people feel they're part of history and they're staying in something that's been here for many, many years, which it has.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a special place to step in. And what kind of people do come here to enjoy the Cotswolds?
A good mixture. I mean, clearly for us, Americans love England, and they love to see the history, and so I suppose we tend to see a lot of Americans here beginning of the sort of May, the spring season, and then at the other end of the summer. But internationally, yes, across all countries will come and stay here. And that's what gives the variety. But equally, I think it's that kind of, not stone's throw, but it's that kind of trip out of London, and there will be a lot of people that come out of London to stay here. But then equally, there will be people that will come here from literally half an hour down the road that just because it's a nice place to come to is where you're going to feel you're away from it all, and there's no hustle and bustle. I mean, yes, there are tourists, and there's a keen interest in people to come here to the village. But once you step inside the hotel and the grounds,
it's very calm. Yeah. I know. And when you step out the car, you can hear the sort of rush of the river, and it's very calm. I imagine you have amazing skies here at night. You can really see those stars.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the bedrooms, because I know, is it 50 you have here?
So we have 50 rooms, and about 50 of them are in the Mews cottages.
Okay.
So there's a lovely cottage row of the original weavers' cottages. So obviously Castle Combe was famous for the Castle Combe cloth, a red and white cloth, and it was made here, obviously going back to 13th, 14th century. In terms of, and these were the weavers' cottages that were built in the village.
Yeah.
And then obviously when this became a hotel, because it was those cottages were then converted into guest rooms. Some of them have got their own sort of front door that goes into their own cottage. Some of them are a door that then goes into five different bedrooms.
Yeah.
So if you're a family, you might come and say, well, I need 5 rooms. Then, well, here you've got this cottage all to yourself, and for your family to stay together. So I think the cottages are absolutely lovely, but then equally there are other people that prefer to be in the main manor house. And of course, every room is very, very unique, very different, because of course not every room would have had a bathroom when it was just a house. So as you can imagine, it's every room gives something different for people to stay in.
The art of squeezing a bathroom in.
Exactly.
Here and there. Yeah. And let's talk about food and drink then. I mean, I think it's very hard not to talk about it looking at a full 3-layer of cakes and sandwiches. I'm assuming the menu here is very best of British, celebrating the classics, or are you doing something a bit different?
We tend to, so obviously we're sat in front of I'm going to be biased, of course, and say it's a beautiful afternoon tea.
It is.
Which ultimately is traditional afternoon tea, the cakes and obviously are beautifully finished, and we have a very, very good an excellent pastry team here that produce these beautiful afternoon teas, which that's the traditional part. The Bybrook itself, it's been awarded a Michelin star now for coming up 10 years now. So the food is seasonal, as you say. We source locally wherever we can, but we'll always go for the very best produce, which is what achieves obviously accolade. Well, certainly the chefs have to turn the very best produce into the very best food on the plate. Bit, I guess. So there's quite a lot of work involved from from both. But ultimately the food and the produce is absolutely crucial to us. We've got our own little kitchen garden up in the Italian gardens. Oh wow! We've got our own bees to get some honey, which will be incorporated into the menus. We've got an apple orchard. We've also got figs. What you name it. There's we'll always use the produce from the kitchen garden that comes through onto the plate. But the Bybrook is. I wouldn't want to call it traditional because the food is very, very, very clean and generally presented on nice, clean white plates, and the food will talk to you, and you can experience a full Bybrook tasting style menu experience by Rob Potter and the rest of the brigade, and that's an amazing experience. And then we've then got the bar food that people are wanting something a little bit more relaxed. Sit down in the lounges. And then you go to the pub, which is top 50 gastro pub in the village, the Castle Inn, which is owned and part of the resort here. Okay. So that's all part of the experience, that you could be coming here and maybe dining one night, having afternoon tea on arrival, having dinner in the Bybrook, or maybe going to the Castle Inn for dinner, sitting down in the lounges. You're not having to kind of jump in your car and use the gas and go. You can literally come here and stay here for a couple of days and go out for a nice walk and come back and have a glass of champagne or a nice cocktail in the bar. That's what it's all about. So.
Yeah, or whiskey by the fire.
Or whiskey by the fire, why not?
Lovely. Yeah. And I guess that's the perk of being in the village, and you can, like you say, head out to the Castle Inn, stumble home. No one's got to be designated driver. Excellent.
Exactly. And if you want to go and play in a round of golf and get some fresh air, then there's a golf course there.
Yeah, if you haven't had too many drinks the night before. Yeah.
I think you play golf with a few drinks, though, can't you?
It's actually socially. Clears the head, I'm told. Okay, well, I've got a question I want to ask. I always think this when I come to lovely old buildings like this, is how much work goes on behind the scenes to keep them ticking over? Because I guess if you wanted to redo one bedroom and you've got, tens of bedrooms to redo, aren't you just surely eternally chasing your tail, fixing one thing, renovating one thing, and then going straight back to the beginning again? Or
we just maintain a complete rolling program of refurbishment. Okay. So every year we'll be refurbishing 3 or 4 rooms to constantly keep them maintained and up to standard. Yeah.
So it never stops. You're never done.
No, it never stops. But then that's what makes it exciting. That's what, because they're unique. It's not cookie cutter approach, is it? It's you take a room and blend the new with the tradition of the heritage of the building.
Yeah.
Each of the rooms are individually named, and they're all named after sort of things around the local area. Some of the rooms are named after sort of films. Obviously, there's been some famous films that have been made in the village, from War Horse to Dr. Dolittle to Poirot's been filmed. I mean, more recently, there's Apple TV production Slow Horses. So there've been obviously different things over the years. Stardust is another one. So some of the rooms are named after things connected to the films as well.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. And do you have a favourite room?
Well, I don't live locally to here, so I do get to stay over. I'll stay over a couple of nights a week, so part of the job. And I've had the pleasure of staying in every room. Do I have a favourite? I personally love staying in the cottages because I just like the feeling of being outside and not coming through the hotel. If there's definitely a room in the main house that I have a preference for, just because of the beautiful view from Albanesses. It's just got the best view in the house.
Well, then I'd love to talk to you about the big C word, COVID, which I know was a bit of a horrific time for hospitality in general. But how were things here? And I guess over the phase of your 30-year career in hospitality, how did you find that? And what was life like at the Manor House then?
Well, life during COVID was quite interesting for me, because I was part of the small team that was kind of left to kind of be the security of the house. So there were days where I had the house to myself, which was quite strange. It was quite eerie being in the house on your own. But equally over time you get used to it, and you get used to the little noises that you start to hear, and the creaks and the things that can go on, and the animals, and you start to feel yourself completely in nature and your surroundings. Quite an interesting time. I spent a lot of time sort of going around every single bedroom and sort of looking at what we could do to improve it, and maybe some areas where furniture could be moved around and how we could improve things. And we made really, I suppose, the best use that we could under the circumstances of that time. And so, clearly we had just obviously the team on that needed to be on, but we certainly made the best use of that time that we could. It was an interesting time. We didn't really know what to expect when we reopened, and we were quite shocked by how busy it was, and how people were desperate to kind of get back to normality. I suppose the first sort of 6 months, there was a lot of people that had really long length of stays because they'd had holidays cancelled to going on cruises or going abroad, and clearly they then needed to look for something else. And I'd say the length of stay was a lot longer when we reopened, and we were extremely busy. And it was I think I suppose on reopening we still had some protocols and things in place, but I think everyone was just glad to still be alive and out, and being able to get out and just have some sense of normality again.
100%,
so and I think the team were desperately glad to be back at work. I think you kind of really appreciated those that work in hospitality, that we like to be with people and interacting with people, and to have been kind of locked away was a very difficult period for some. And I think we tried to keep in touch and interact via Zoom with the team, and messaging was not quite the same as being back with our guests. And I think there was an air of excitement as well, of coming back, and the team being back together as a family. And I think that's, I suppose from my point of view as a manager in the hotel, is you I suppose we want our guests to feel at home, and we want the team to feel at home. And if the team feel at home, then obviously the guests are going to feel at home too. But it's a very homely place. I mean, you're here now, and you're sat here in one of the beautiful little lounges, and they're all kind of just places where you can just chill out and relax, and have a cup of tea and a scone. Or scone, whichever way you want to say it.
I'm a scone.
You're a scone. I'm a scone too.
The only way, really. And it's so true you say. I mean, hospitality is just such, you say, it's a people industry. It's about bringing people together. It's about connecting. And actually, out of all the things, I mean, you work in an office, you can download from home. I mean, I did my 2 years of working from my bedroom kind of thing. But you don't do that. Obviously, the hotel's not open, you're not working. And I can only imagine the impact must have been much more hardly felt by this industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, looking ahead then, I mean, this building's been around for hundreds of years. What's next? Are there any exciting updates, or is it just carrying on, keeping up the traditions, those same, best of British values?
I think we'll always kind of be looking for ways to innovate or do things differently, but without becoming, as you say, this sort of, we're not going to become transform ourselves away from what we are in terms of good old-fashioned hospitality. But yeah, I mean, for example, last year we renovated one room and then put a nice sort of area outside, and we created a garden and put a nice hot tub. So we've got a nice hot tub suite, which got nice little views overlooking down to the lawns. So that was a really nice addition, really popular.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I suppose they're the sort of small kind of added tweaks that we'll always be looking to have. And, in terms of keeping on top of any sort of food trends and things like that, keeping on top of the bedrooms and renovating the bedrooms.
So exciting. And the hot tub sounds fab, but also good for stargazing.
You can definitely stargaze from your hot tub with a nice glass of chilled champagne.
Oh, yes. It's getting better by the minute. Maybe I will get into stargazing after all.
And what about sustainability? I mean, it's such a beautiful old building, but surely what guests expect of you as a hotel is changing. And how have you managed to sort of keep up with those changing standards?
Well, we've really always had a focus around what we can do for the environment. And we're now kind of on a 3-year, in the midst of a 3-year journey, ready for the next accreditation. Okay. So to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable for what we were doing previously and our journey to improve.
Yeah.
So lots of things have changed. I suppose, and there'll be from very small things like the sort of tea and coffee making facilities in the bedroom. You had the sort of milk jiggers, the old-fashioned ones in the rooms with the foil on the top, and now we've changed to glass bottles and glass bottles with caps on, and it could be sort of the biscuits in foil is what's the most sustainable packaging that we can have around the biscuits, and so. So really kind of challenging every aspect. Yeah. Like, I mean, as you know, in most hotel rooms or something at the luxury end of the market, you're going to get a bottle of mineral water in your room. We've now switched to cans in that process, because obviously the production of an aluminium can is much more sustainable than production of glass. So we've I suppose we've kind of pushed ourselves for all of those aspects and challenged the team to have to put their thoughts and suggestions in. Yeah. I mean, obviously kitchen gardens are a big part in terms of what we do, but then equally working really closely with our suppliers to make sure that they are also, we're challenging back to them about how they package and how they deliver and the frequency of our deliveries, through to how we work with the local community and the charitable aspect, and from next year all of the team will have the opportunity to doing a community day.
Oh, great.
So it's I suppose it's lots of different aspects really of what we can do to be in B Corp terms to be a force for good and to do good for the planet, and it's a big focus, and and I think I think guest expectations are rapidly kind of moving in that way. And you take for example I mentioned the move from a glass water bottle to a can. There will be some people who completely get that change, but for others they're really interesting to hear why we've made that change. It's certainly challenged our minds, and it's a really interesting journey that's kind of become part of what we do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a hotel is such an interesting way to explore this whole sustainability angle, because obviously there's so many different elements to it. It's not just food, and it's not just rooms, it's all of these things and all these suppliers and different cogs, and you can get down to the biscuit wrappers, which is such a tiny detail in the big scheme of things. So very interesting to unpack it like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose, that they're all buildings. I mean, they're hard to obviously maintain in many respects. We can't change all the windows to double glazed windows, but we can go about moving away from fossil fuels, and all our kitchens now here have moved over to induction, away from gas. We put solar panels on the greenkeeper shed, so all of our golf buggies are all charged through solar through solar electric. So electric generated from the solar panels. That obviously moving away and making sure that we're single-use plastic free. And I think we're pretty close to being fully there now. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's just added a different challenge, really.
Never a dull day, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Well, it's been so lovely to chat, Gaius. Before we do go, I do have one final closing tradition.
Okay.
Imagine you've won the lottery, cashed a winning check. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you let me know what space comes to mind for you. So number 1 is, where are you running away to disconnect and to detox?
I think my answer to that will be, I'm going to jump on a plane next year to Australia, because my daughter is going travelling, and one, we'll miss her, so I'd like to go and see her.
Yeah.
And secondly, it seems a long way to go. It's a long train journey.
A very long train journey.
Okay.
So you do your disconnecting on the plane, and
yes,
then
exactly.
detox in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. Got no idea where to go, what to do, but just jump on the plane. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Number 2, your ultimate birthday party. Where are you hosting it?
And it can't be here.
And it can't be here.
Okay, then I'll go for our sister hotel, Lainston House, where I was working before. It's I think because I love the house. It's a beautiful house. It's got great views down the avenue of lime trees, and it feels very homely, like here.
Yeah.
So often we discuss here in Lainston being similar. They're similar, but they're also very different.
Yeah.
But no, it's an absolutely beautiful house where we looked after some great house parties and New Year's events and weddings, and there's definitely a house homely feel like here. So yeah, I think I'd take over Lainston House.
Nice. You've seen some good parties.
I've definitely seen a good few parties there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, and then your last one, and before you ask, it can't be here. Your once in a lifetime bucket list trip. Where are you going? And are you staying anywhere special?
I think I'm going to say the Maldives. It was on the list as a honeymoon destination. We ended up going to Thailand. But it was definitely a hard decision between them both. So it feels like it's just sat there on the list, and it's one I want to do.
Lovely.
One we want to do, definitely. Okay.
Love it. Get a little oversea villa.
Yeah, I want one of those. I just want one of those hotel rooms that sits out into the sea, and you can just sit there and watch the sea. Gorgeous. Instead of watch the sky and stargaze, I think water has got a very therapeutic.
Definitely. Something very calming.
Very calming. Very. I could sit here and just watch the water flow over the weir, but I don't have time to do that during my working day. So yeah, I think I'd definitely choose to be close to water. That's fine.
Love it.
Yeah, go for that.
I hope you get your trip to the Maldives. I think you've earned it.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for chatting to me today. It's been such a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure too. Thank you very much.